sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jimmy Butler has spread his cancer all over the Heat, and he has ruined their season. I do believe they'll never recover from this disastrous guy that is, purged on him. I mean, he's ruined. Like, they don't matter anymore at all. Like, I watched them play last night. They suck.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The picks, the players, the hustlers, the people, the busters, but everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Twisted Tuesday has begun as we continue to pick up the pieces post-Bayou style. The Philadelphia Eagles party continues. They're going to have their parade on Valentine's Day. Why not? You figure, you couldn't top the celebration the other night. They'll try. They'll try later in the week on a Friday. But football season never really stops, and already looking forward to next season. You got the NFL draft coming up. Rick Saratella in the house this evening. A lot of football talk with Rick Saratella. Our boy Mo Khan throws it down with us. A lot of football talk with Mo, but we'll get Mo's take on the Four Nations face-off, as well as Mo is in Montreal, and they're getting ready to drop the puck in less than 24 hours in Montreal. Sweden and Team Canada are first up in the Four Nations face-off. We'll break it down. Andrew McInnes in the house tonight. I'm not sure if our boy McInnes is going to the championship game in Boston next week. I think the championship game is next Thursday. It's basically just like a quick week tournament here. It's like 7-8 days type of deal. I don't know why they don't have the final like next weekend, but nevertheless, it's the NHL and the NHLPA that put this together. So don't expect them to really be smart about things or anything like that. And you can question the markets that they went to as well. The thing with Montreal is Montreal's a great hockey city, but they're elitist, all right? And they're offended about everything all the time, and there's not this, there's not that. I think Toronto probably would have been a better fit, but it might have been a scheduling conflict with the arenas in Toronto, actually, because I asked somebody about this. We'll get Mo's take on this, because Montreal's a great hockey city, but it's not the most patriotic city. Like when it comes to to Canada, you know what I'm saying? Like it just is. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I won't support Team Canada. They're going to be pulling for Team Canada, but I don't know. You could have put it in Vancouver, but then you get into the travel and stuff like that, right? Or even Edmonton, and then you get travel. So that's why they put them in the cities that they did. Montreal and Boston, it was easy, close cities, close proximity, and both good, great hockey towns. So Andrew McInnes in the house tonight. We'll break it down. We'll get into the picks. I am looking forward to betting this tournament because anybody that knows me knows we crush these tournaments. all new things that people don't really know about or want to deal with. Like, we're good at breaking it down quickly, and I don't need to, like, see it first to sort of know which way to bet this stuff. And I have a pretty much a very different opinion of this tournament than a lot of people do. And I've got a hot take that the USA are going to implode. And a USA team that everybody thinks is going to win the tournament, I'm not even sure they're going to make the final. And in fact, I don't think they will make the final. So we'll get into it. Sean Higgs in the house tonight. Sean knows absolutely nothing about the Four Nations face-off. Sean knows about food. He was right about the Chicago Bears, so you got to give him credit for that, Bear fan. Y'all went after him. He was right about the Bears going under the number. He doesn't know anything about hockey. So, Sean Higgs, he might like some late-night college basketball, though. And we do have a bunch of late-night college basketball. We smoked the college basketball card tonight. This sort of jumped right in, man. And NFL football is done. The Super Bowl is done. The Michigan Wolverines are now the sole possessors of first place in the Big Ten, which is pretty cool in Dustin May's first season in Ann Arbor. Michigan's worst loss of the year this year. When I say their worst loss, their biggest loss. They got smoked on a Friday night on national television on Fox about a month ago, if you remember. They got ambushed early. Purdue hit like 12 3-point shots in the first 10 minutes of the game. And it was one of those, wasn't quite the Pistons and the Bulls tonight, but it was pretty close. Like, Michigan were losing like 32-6 or something at one point in Purdue earlier this year. Like, Michigan got lit up. They fought back a bit, but they ended up losing like 91-63 or whatever the hell it was. They got lit up. They got beat up pretty good. They had Purdue tonight in Ann Arbor, and the Michigan Wolverines get it done. 75-73. Michigan were up by like 7 late, but anybody that watches this Michigan team knows things always get a little bit dicey near the end of basketball games. So, but Michigan survives. Michigan now in first place. A big win for the Florida Gators tonight. The Gators were underdogs on the road against Mississippi State. I didn't really understand the number, so we took the Gators. We cashed the ticket. We cashed the ticket with Kentucky now twice against the Vols. We were on Kentucky getting the points a couple of weeks ago when they went on the road. And then tonight, it was like, yeah, this is like, it was up to like 4.5 with Kentucky on their home court. It was like, I already beat them once. All right, they can beat them again. So like I said, we've been doing pretty well tonight with the college basketball. But we are on the UCLA Bruins, and they were getting punched in the mouth. UCLA and Illinois. We took the UCLA Bruins plus the points tonight. College basketball coming up. I don't love this game going off the board right now. We'll have some picks later. UNLV and Air Force just went off the board. UNLV just hit an early 3 to start the game. They're laying 14.5. Air Force, the Flyboys have only won 3 games this year. All right, but they don't get killed every game. Like, they got lit up the other night. I think they lost by like 38 or whatever the other night. But they lose a lot by like 9, 11, 10, 8. You know what I'm saying? And UNLV don't murder many teams. They're not good enough to really blow teams out. So this is a blow. This is a winnable game. UNLV should, they're going to win this game. They better win the game. It's sad to see what's happened to UNLV basketball. I warned people years ago that would happen. You could see the downfall. You could sort of see the slow decline starting to happen after Tark passed away and Lon Kruger. But when UNLV used to be the centerpiece of Las Vegas sports, right? Like, when I lived in Vegas, there was no pro sports teams in Vegas. It was UNLV. Like, UNLV was that was the big event. Like, the big sports event was UNLV basketball. UNLV football sucked. And it was like, all right, we'll go to UNLV basketball games. And then, once you got a hockey team, you got an NFL team, you're going to get an NBA team there. Suddenly, UNLV basketball doesn't look so attractive anymore. And then you compound the fact by the fact is they don't win. They're terrible, right? They're not a big-time program anymore, which is kind of baffling. You figure, how the hell is, how can UNLV, not be able to recruit enough kids to play, basketball? Like, it should be easier to put a basketball team together than a football team. Right? Football, you got to get, 30, 40, 50 really good players. College basketball, you got to get 3 or 4 really good players and a couple of kids, and you got yourself a team suddenly. All right, NBA basketball going off the board right now. Really high total, 246, Phoenix and Memphis. This game, how many points does he need? 26 points, KD, to get to KD needs 26 points tonight to get, 30,000, a landmark? They just popped it up. There's always a landmark this, landmark that. So, Kevin Durant, he probably gets it tonight. There's going to be a ton of points. I bet the over of this game. Listen, it seems to make sense that, like, Memphis are going to roll them. Phoenix have been losing. Kevin Durant challenged the locker room stuff about the locker room being toxic. I'm not really sure the locker room is toxic there. I think it's just sort of, you have a bunch of dudes. It's one of these deals where the Phoenix Suns wanted all these players there, and players like Arizona. All right, they like the city of Phoenix. They like playing for the Suns. And Kevin Durant wanted to be a Phoenix Sun. Now they want to trade him. And he said, listen, I like it here. I don't even want to go. Bradley Beal's like refusing to leave. So I don't know if it's toxic. You've got a bunch of dudes that want to be there. I don't know if the owner wants them there. It's strange.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency, Sirius XM Channel 159, SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. The Memphis Grizzlies and the Phoenix Suns have begun. Like I said, it was an incredibly high total, 246. But sometimes when I set a number that high, it's for a reason. And you're like, yeah, don't take the, don't try to get in front of it. So we did. We jumped on the over. They've already scored 16 points in like 3 minutes of this basketball game. And Kevin Durant needs 26 points to get to 30,000. And thing with basketball is it's hard to quantify this stuff. Like, people know, 700 home runs and 500 goals, and, certain sports stats work better. Like, if you ask somebody, I don't know, how many points has LeBron James scored? Like, you'd be guessing, I don't know, 26,000. Like, you don't really know, right? But to put in context how impressive it is what Durant is doing, the only players to score 30,000 points in the NBA's history, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James, Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, and Dirk Nowitzki. And Kevin Durant is 26 points short of joining this legendary list of names. And Kevin Durant literally is one of the greatest players ever to play in the NBA. I like what Emmett Smith told me. He goes, I don't do the greatest debates. It's all different eras. It's stupid. And I'm with Emmett on that. But Kevin Durant Kevin Durant's just a pure scorer. The guy's a great player. Will he pull it off tonight? I think he does. This game, a 246-point total. KD's going to shoot tonight. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets there, and hopefully he does, so we see a piece of history. And speaking of which, Super Bowl Sunday, made sure to watch Hubie Brown's last ever broadcast. And Hubie Brown will be missed, one of the best NBA analysts ever, and personalities, and just someone who was great for the sport of the NBA. All right, so we'll keep our eye on this game. We got the Four Nations face-off. I'm looking forward to McKinnis's picks for the Four Nations face-off. Cam Stewart in the house. McKinnis, good to see you. I know you're going to be one of the people that will be looking forward to this tournament. I'm looking forward to seeing these games and how they play out. And there's sort of an apathy with a lot of fans out there now. I think once it starts, people are going to get into it. But if you pay attention to the players, this is serious, like, to them. Like, this isn't a joke. This isn't like an exhibition to the players. They are taking this extremely seriously, and I think that's going to be a key almost to this tournament. Which nation shows up playing at a high level right away? Not like, let's play this out. Which one? And I got to tell you, Brad Marchand's not one of my favorite hockey players, but I like the fact that he's on Team Canada, and I like what he said today. He goes, I love Charlie, but I'll kill him if I have to. And he goes, he knows that. And he goes, if anyone's in our way, and he goes, once I put this Team Canada sweater on, I'm not friends with anybody besides Team Canada. And he means it. And Nate McKinnon means it. Connor McDavid is as serious as a freaking, you're out of drinks at last call. This kid doesn't smile. Like, he's a serious dude. Nate McKinnon, McKinnis. This guy's a serious dude. They're not in Montreal at Shea Parade right now. And they also know everybody's picking Team USA. Team Canada has a chip on their shoulder. You're going to see.
They definitely do. And like you said, it's about winning. It's not about anything else, not about individual accomplishments. I mean, Brad Marchand was also caught saying that he would fill up the water bottles if he had to. He's happy to be on the team. I mean, these guys, the best part that I find about this is their pride gets put aside, their egos put aside. Whoever you are on your individual team, forget about that, because you might not be as good as the guy to your right, the guy to your left in the locker room. You are just now a member of Team Canada. And you know what? I am just absolutely shocked, a little bit kind of furious from some of the comments I've seen on social media with people, number one, saying that they don't care about this tournament, and number two, saying that the players potentially might not care about this tournament. This isn't an all-star game, all right? This isn't a break for these guys. They're giving up vacation. It does not make any sense to me for people to think these guys do not care. It's not like they've just divided guys up into teams and they're putting on random uniforms. They're wearing their country's jersey. They're wearing Team Sweden, Team Finland, USA, Canada. They're representing their countries. To me, it's some of the most ridiculous takes I've seen on hockey Twitter. I try not to chime in too much, but hockey's kind of the lane that I'll comment on the most, and I think it's some of the most crazy takes ever. Team Canada hasn't seen Connor McDavid and McKinnon wear a Canadian jersey since they've been in the NHL game.
Fans get stupider every day and every year. It's a reality. But you just said it right there. This is Connor McDavid's dream. He always wanted to play with Sidney Crosby. He never got a chance. The Team Canada hasn't played since 2017. Like, this is the first time you've got these players here together, and this is a precursor for the Olympics next year. listen, every team is fired up. They're all, the players, everybody wants to do well in this tournament. They're playing for pride. We can talk about who's not there and which countries, but who do you think is going to win from a betting perspective, McKenna? It's like, who's going to end up in the final? There's no semifinal game, so it's a round robin, and we should note for everybody, this is somewhat of a disappointment, I find. If you really want to sell us that this is really that important, then don't tell me we're going 3-on-3 in overtime. But we're going 3-on-3 in overtime for 10 minutes. And the thing is, I would say then we're going to go to a shootout. But the thing is, all that talent on the ice, there's no way in hell somebody's not going to score with 3-on-3. Like, it's going to be the quickest 3-on-3 goals. Like, it's literally going to be like a minute if it goes to overtime. There's just too much skill on the ice. Someone's just going to take off, and it's going to be a breakaway, and that's over. But that's the format, guys, for people who aren't aware of this. You go to overtime, 10-minute overtime period. If it's unsettled, 3-on-3 overtime period. If it's unsettled, we go to a shootout. And then in the championship game, it's just classic sudden death, no matter how long it takes.
Yeah, and interesting about the whole rules, right, Gabe? I think you and I and Cam have probably talked about the whole thing about the loser points in the NHL mattering too much. When it's 2-2 with 5 minutes to go in the NHL, these teams are playing for a draw. Well, with this tournament and the short 7-game set, 3 points in regulation is going to mean a hell of a lot more than an overtime win. So very interesting looking at that.
Good call. That's a good point. The first games are critical in this. This is serious. Like, if Canada doesn't beat Sweden tomorrow night, suddenly they're up against it. Like, they got to go 2-2-0 after that.
Slow play, drum beat grows louder and louder every week, to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scover and when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at -110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or a plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I gotta like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's is offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, let's do this thing. SportsRage continues. Sirius XM Channel 159. SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. All right, we got Andrew McKinnis in the house with us. And we got Cam Stewart. So, McKinnis, I'll ask you, then we'll get into the games. We got Cam's picks for tomorrow. But, McKinnis, what's your future prediction for the Four Nations face-off? Who do you think are the last 2 teams left standing next Thursday night in Boston for the championship game? that you already have tickets to. So, for the love of God, you're going to want to see USA and Canada. You've already got the tickets. Imagine if it's Finland and Sweden in the final when it's all said and done. That's the NHL's worst nightmare, too. So I'm almost thinking it's going to happen. Like, you know what I mean? Somehow it'll backfire. It'll be Finland and Sweden take the tournament over. Like, they're like, this is just a disaster. We never should have done this. What's your prediction, McKinnis? Who's going to make the final?
Yeah, NHL's worst nightmare and definitely my worst nightmare, trying to get ahead of things and buying tickets early. Look, I actually have a commitment on Saturday, so I'm going to miss half of the Canada-USA game in Montreal. So they sure as hell better be playing when I'm there next week. So I'm going to say Canada-USA, but I think out of the bottom two teams, I do think that Sweden...
You're doing weekends in jail? What are you talking about? You got a commitment.
Weekends in jail.
It's the biggest game of the year. Like,
that's the best. You said wedding. Weekends in jail, McGinnis. Good one, Gabe. That was
what kind of commitment, Cam? There better be a serious commitment.
McGinnis, weekends.
Trust me, I'm not happy about it. Yeah, I'm not happy about it.
So what you're going to a wedding?
Is it a wedding?
No, I'm going to miss the first period of this Saturday's game. I have to coach.
Like, what's with the secrets? Just tell us what you're doing.
I didn't get a chance to answer the question. I didn't get it. You were guessing what I was doing.
That's an Ian Cameron move right there. Dodge.
You got a commitment. Huh? You're pretty sketchy about it.
Ian's missing the game?
You got a coach.
You got
think Ian's missing the game?
I don't know what Ian does at night. That guy's like literally like, who knows? He could have a woman at his place. I don't know what that guy does at night, but it's not right.
I swear, guys.
No, you got a coach. Your coaching comes first. All right.
No,
that's all right. You can record. Sure. You can record the game too, and then cruise into the second period after the fact. So, who do you think? We know the odds. Canada plus 140, USA plus 150, Sweden plus 450, and Finland like plus 850. Who are you looking at here, McKinnis? Give us two teams.
Yeah, I mean, look, I do think that tomorrow is not going to be a walk in the park for Canada. I think the plus 400 plus, give or take 420, I believe the screen just said there. I think that does have some value, and I just think it's just the overall raw talent. And I do think that if the goaltenders show up, Sweden can be elite from that perspective, but they have been dealing with some injuries, with not just one, but multiple of their goaltenders. I saw an article I was reading. It was from Daily Faceoff. It was pretty interesting. The author of the article called Team Sweden like a donut. They're really going to be great on the sides and nice and sweet there, but really going to be lacking up the middle. There's going to be a hole up the middle. And the biggest thing with Sweden is they don't really have great centermen. Their wingers are great, but they don't have any centermen. And you got to be able to win faceoffs in these tournaments because you got to be able to maintain possession. The thing with Finland, I just don't trust their depth. They've been hurt. A bunch of guys got hurt before the tournament even started. Mikko Rantanen's sort of hurt. He's their best player coming into the tournament. Their defensive game is going to be a little bit weak. So I feel like they're going to be extremely top-heavy. I think they're going to be extremely top-heavy.
He leaves out the fact Sidney Crosby's hurt too. You leave it. You want to bring up Rankin. Rankin is playing.
Exactly.
Here's my statement. I do have some props and picks for the full tournament, but here's my full statement on Team Canada and why I think they're gonna win this tournament. And the biggest reason, John Cooper said it, they're winners and they're gamers. That's the true identity. Jordan Binnington doesn't have that great of a goals against average this year, maybe even last year. Guess what he is? He's a winner. He's won wearing the Canada jersey. He won a Stanley Cup for St. Louis. Guess what? 5 of the 6 defensemen for Team Canada have won a Stanley Cup. 1 of the 6 defensemen for Team USA have won a Stanley Cup. Go through the top 6 guys, top 6 players for Team USA. Ask me how many have even made an appearance. Not even one, an appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals. Brady Tkachuk has never even been to the playoffs. All right. Austin Matthews has won 1 round in 9 years. All right. Some of these guys have not even had success. Every single guy pretty much on Team Canada has either been to the Cup Finals and lost or won a Stanley Cup. I want winners on my team, and that's what they are so far. They're experienced winners. I like that.
McKenna says Canada winners, USA losers on their team. More on the other side.
slow play drum beat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scoverin, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I got to like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's is offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night, but it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All great points Andrew McKinnis was making. I am Gabriel Morency. We're kicking it. We're talking 4 Nations. Sean Higgs will join us in a couple of minutes. We'll talk college basketball, and we got a bunch of football talk coming up with Rick Saratella. But I like where you're going with U.S. They do have, a couple of champions on the team, and they got some grinders and stuff, but they also have a lot of sort of flash. And how quickly will this flash come together? What's their style going to be? What's the game plan going to be? I think Canada, you just look at Canada's depth up the middle, and Canada's power play, and just Canada's just sort of, they have a bunch of just sort of leaders on the team, right? You know what I mean? I was talking about it last night, like Austin Matthews, the captain of Team USA. Like, really? Guy's like, what? Just won a playoff series? Like, what's he, I don't know how it's not Matthew Tkachuk, personally. If I was them, it writes itself. Matthew Tkachuk is our captain, not like Matthews. Matthew's a great goal scorer, but like, what are we doing here? So, it's sort of from a leadership. I mean, you at all times on the ice, guys, with Team Canada, you're going to have a Sidney Crosby on the ice. You're going to have Connor McDavid on the ice. You're going to have a Nate McKinnon on the ice. You're going to have a Cale Makar on the ice. Like, there's always just going to be smart, legitimately high IQ, skilled players on the ice all the time. I think they could, USA might be a little bit faster and younger, etc. But I like that matchup. But you know what? For me, I'm high on Finland. I know everybody's dismissing them. You don't think they have the depth and stuff. But what Finland do is they play as a cohesive unit. They also have a coach, guys. The Finnish coach has coached them in the World Championships. They won the World Championships a couple of years ago with Lankinen, the Canuck kid. And they didn't have any NHL players, and they beat like Ovechkin and all the Russian dudes and everything. The other teams were stacked, and Finland weren't. They won with this coach. This coach also coached them to a silver and a bronze at the World Junior Hockey Championships. Now he's coaching the men's team. And, he won the Finnish League Championship, and he's the coach of the year in Finland all the time.
Great point.
Every player on Finland has played for him. Like, this is like a soccer system. Yeah, I played for the junior team. Yeah, for him. I played in the Finnish. You know what I mean? He is Finnish hockey, this guy. They're going to have a system in place, and they're just strong two-way players. This isn't a 7-game series. It's a 1-game setting. You got Saros between the pipes, who I'm confident in. I like Lankin in the backup, but Saros going to be the starter. But Teravanian, Barkov, Patrick Laine, you're a big Laine fan, McKinnis. That's a strong line. Lehkonen, Sebastian Aho, and Mikko Ratinen. That's a strong line. Like I said, they've got players on this team, and they've got smart players that won't make mistakes. Like if you make a mistake, like you're gonna have to play smart hockey against Finland to beat these guys. I think they're a great value at plus 850.
Let's remember one thing too, Gabe. In the World Juniors, they took that American team that was stacked to like literally.
Yeah, they just went to the gold medal in the World Juniors this year. Exactly.
They could have won. They were
Finland
actually
underestimated all the time, and all they do is compete and get to the finals.
They had America on the ropes. They just played too defensive after they got that lead instead of just attacking again. One point, guys.
That's my bold take, guys. Canada versus Finland in the final. Sweden don't have enough up middle. Like you said, McInnes, Zinnabad and Patterson, they're skilled guys, but they're not physical enough. I think they're going to get pushed around a little bit. They won't have the puck enough. You know what I'm saying? I think Finland are peskier. Finland's the type of guys that'll slash you in the corner, and they're a peskier bunch. So I think Finland will sort of have some puck possession in these games. And I got a feeling that USA are going to kind of implode a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to go 0-3 or anything like that, but I don't think they win the tournament. I don't even think they make the final, guys. I think Canada will beat them on Saturday night, and hell, if they lose to Sweden or Finland, they're going to get eliminated.
To your point about Cale Makar, guys, I couldn't believe I found this prop. And Camera 2, Drew Gabe, we were talking about it. I just like Cale Makar, 4.5 points. The over is the plus 125. It's not even juice. That's like, how many points do you think he's going to get in this thing? Like, that's a low number. I would have put it at like 5.5. How many games?
It's sort of, if they make it to the final, they would play in 4 games.
That's what I'm saying. It's 4.5 plus 130. That's nuts. Like that line is and you talked about Makar. He's going to be on he's going to get so much damn ice time, Gabe. That's the thing. In these tournaments, you got to rely on your defenseman, and a horse like him. Like, I think that number's way too low. I'd bet it at 5.5 over. So I'm going to definitely take the 4.5 over plus 130.
How about this? Which team in the Four Nations face-off has the most top 10 picks on the team?
Top 10 picks in the draft?
The top 10 picks in the NHL draft.
Let me see.
I feel like it's got to be a trick question.
Yeah. What are you doing? What's with weekends in jail? How about Sweden?
Sweden have 9 top 10 picks on their team. Canada have 8 top 10 picks. USA have 8 top 10 picks, and Finland have 5 top 10 picks. So it's like when people are like, "Oh, I don't know if Finland have the depth and stuff." So I don't know. They got 5 first-round picks on their top 10 picks on their team. They got a pretty, you know what I mean? They just don't have the flashy type of players. But all right, let's get into the games here. We got a couple more minutes with McInnes. Let's get into tomorrow's game. Yep.
I just wanted to add one prop I really do like, or one season tournament long future. Sam Reinhart, 10-1 leading goal scorer of the tournament. Really like that one quite a bit. And the biggest reason I like that one is because the second line on Team Canada right now is Mark Stone, McKinnon, Crosby. That line will have no problem being a shutdown line. If they're not scoring, they don't care. You know, McKinnon's a dog. Crosby's been playing in his own end for the last 3 years for the Penguins. They don't score goals. Mark Stone doesn't mind. He's a 200-foot player. So let McDavid, Marner, and Reinhart be the offensive of the top 6.
I was going to say, I like where you're going. So he's the Hyman, Zach Hyman of Connor McDavid here. He's going to feed off McDavid.
Yes.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that.
I've never seen a highlight of Reinhart, with an unbelievable pass to set somebody up. I've never seen a tweet saying, "What a pass by Sam Reinhart." It's always, "What a shot by Sam Reinhart. He scores top shelf." That's who he is. And we're getting 10-1. I like that one quite a bit.
I do too.
All right, so tomorrow night, Sweden and Canada, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Canada minus 250 favorites. The total is 6. What's your pick for this game, McInnes?
You guys might laugh at me because this is kind of one of those unique picks, and people might say, how the hell are you coming up with this for the first game of the tournament here? Over 1.5 first period is minus 130. Sometimes I look at these bets and I think, you know what, we're going to see a slow start and then it's going to elevate as the game goes on. Sometimes I look at these games and I think we're going to see a fast start and then the defenses will settle in. That's where I'm leaning for this game. I think that there's going to be so much juice, so many nerves, that despite people saying this tournament might not matter, there's going to be a lot of offense. And I think, unlike some people, that it's actually easier to develop chemistry offensively with your team than it actually is to develop defensive chemistry. I'm trying to get used to John Cooper's systems, trying to figure out where I should be defensively. But these guys are so talented. And if you don't believe me for how easy it is to get offensively in sync with somebody, Martin Necas has like 9 points in 7 games with McKinnon. Good players fit in well with good players immediately. I think the defense takes time to catch up in these games.
So McKinnon,
over 1.5 first period for me.
Are you attacking? Because look at these, all lines are 5.5, right? Most NHL games 6.5. We barely see any 5.5. So you're saying how many overs are you going to play then with the, like, you like both overs, or what's the deal?
I think so, Cam. I think it kind of feels like, Champions League in soccer, like match day 1, match day 2. I think on all these match day 1s, I'll be looking at overs, and then potentially the match day 2 or 3s, I'll look towards unders for these teams to settle in defensively. There's so much depth. We still have all kinds of great scorers, Pettersson, Nylander, all these great players that are going to be firing the puck at the net. But I just have that feeling that we're going to see a goal in the first 2 minutes tomorrow night. And then whether Canada goes up 2-0, whether it's 1-1, whatever it might be, I think we see over 1.5 goals at least in the first period.
2-2. Game goes to overtime, tied at 2. Okay. There's a bold prediction.
Ooh, overtime.
I think it's going under tomorrow. I think it's going to be tight checking. I think this series is going to be tight checking all the way through. These players have never really played together all that much. Right? So there's going to be a real feel-out process here. It's your talk.
Slow play, drum beat grows louder and louder every week, to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scavern, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I gotta like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's is offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night, but it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency, SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. 43-34 for the Memphis Grizzlies. Kevin Durant's pursuit of 30,000 points continues right now. He came into tonight 26 points short, and he's on the court right now. Kevin Durant is 4 for 6 from the field. He's got 8 points. I said off the top, I think he's probably going to get there. The total was super high in this basketball game. The only thing is, unless it turns into a serious rout, right? It's 43-34 right now for the Memphis Grizzlies. I did play the over 246. In-game total is right where it closed, 245.5. right now. We got college basketball going on, and we, as you guys know, I said, we were crushing a college basketball card tonight. I was on the Florida Gators winner plus the points, Kentucky plus the points winner, Michigan. Michigan gets it done. I lost the total of the Michigan game, but UCLA getting 7. They were down by double digits. They ended up backdooring it, losing by 5. We have a bunch of college basketball going on right now, and we got games coming up as well. Let's bring in Sean Higgs right now. UNLV actually are murdering Air Force. It's 4-22. I didn't trust UNLV to lay the points with them, but they are rolling. UConn's up 55-50 on Creighton right now. Loyola Marymount 65-54 on Pepperdine. USC are smoking Penn State by 20 with 10 minutes left. SMU are rolling Pitt. They're up by 15. Kansas are up a 10 spot on Colorado. Indiana up on Michigan State. Alabama and Texas. We had 11 minutes left in this one. What do you think of this game, Sean? Real track meet going on here. In-game total 171.5 right now. 67-51 Bama with 12 minutes left.
Yeah, over. Hit that over if you want to, if you hadn't. I mean, I actually sort of like Texas. I was like, you know what, that 4 is calling me. It looked a little low considering how good Alabama is, but they're proving it. I mean, that SEC, bro, them, Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, holy cow. It's just a stacked. And look at you go on the road. You're going to go on the road and win by like 25 versus Texas. They're not even a bad team. They're just going to put up 95 here. Who am I kidding? They're going to get to. They're getting 100 points here. They're scoring 100 tonight.
Listen, the SEC is super. This is a great year for college basketball for them. But I want to see them play other teams. They're all playing each other all the time, right? I want to see them play some other teams, and only one of them can end up, or two of them can end up getting to the final after. You know what I'm saying? So, but the SEC tournament is going to be a bloodbath. I'll tell you that.
For sure.
Well, they played Purdue, right? Who went out and played Purdue? One of them, I think Bama went out and played Purdue, or they played Illinois. Somebody played Duke. They've played Gonzagas and Kansases. The
no, and they don't duck people. No, I know. I'm not saying that they're ducking anybody either. But there's some good teams in the Big 12. There's some good teams in the Big 10. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Let's look at the games that are coming up here, still left on the board. Because to me, I think there's a few bettable ones here. The total in the Duck game caught my eye. So we got Colorado State and Utah State. Colorado State are 6.5-point favorites. Total's 147. These games are all 11 o'clock Eastern time. Northwestern getting 9.5 in Eugene against the Ducks. Total's 143.5. And this is the one, guys, that I like the over. And the Northwestern Wildcats, guys, these guys are 17-6-1 to the over on the season this year. They routinely get into the 70s. And You're going into Eugene here against a basketball team that also routinely gets into the 70s. Northwestern really doesn't play much defense. They just want to shoot. And you got a Duck team, Sean, 14-10 to the over on the season. 143.5 is a manageable number here. I like the over of this game.
Yeah, I was going to say I like Northwestern in the points because they do score. Oregon's going to want to push it. You give me 9.5 on the road. I mean, who's 10? That's a lot. That's a lot of points here again. I'll do dog and over with you. Let's go. We'll put it in.
I'm going just over.
Dog and over. Just over. Just over.
Dog and over. Let's go.
But I hear you going 9.5. Feels a little high.
Yeah, and I'm going to bet the over with you guys. I think that's a good play. Like, the thing is, Gabe, you brought up a good point. Like, there's kind of old adages about Northwestern playing these games. Like, a lot of these teams, they've totally changed their style. It's like they're totally opposite to what they used to be. They used to be a defensive maven. Now they just want to get up and chuck. And Oregon's kind of the same. I'm actually surprised that total's a little light at 143.
We should note the Ducks are on a 5-game losing streak as well. Right, they were playing some good basketball, but they're coming. The road trip wasn't kind to them. They went to the state of Michigan and they lost both games. Essentially, they lost and both were kind of heartbreakers. They lost a close game to Michigan in Ann Arbor, and then a couple of days later they played at Michigan State and they lost. That's sort of been the thing. UCLA and USC go to the Midwest and they lose. But Michigan went to like LA and beat them. You know what I'm saying? Like the Midwest teams are having a better time going to LA than these LA teams are going on the road. But that was, that game caught my eye. You got San Diego State guys. Yep.
I'm going to say, do you think going west to east is tougher than east to west time-wise, body clock? What do you think?
I don't
know if it's just the body clock. I think it's the excitement level. There's different, right? And put it this way: like if you're on Michigan, is it really all that intimidating? Like staying in Beverly Hills for 3 or 4 days, right?
No.
And playing against Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if you're a team, you're USC or something. It sucks, bro, going to Piscataway, New Jersey.
Yeah,
You've never done this. You're not a pro team. You're not used to flying 3,000 miles and like staying in a little cheap hotel and whatever. Like,
you're right.
It's different for them, you know?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the Big Ten basketball they're used to like, not like small town feel, but just that, what it is. Where
it's dark, it's cold during the day, it's depressing, you know what I mean? It's like a different lifestyle, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. That's why I think they have problems. It's like, what the hell? We're in the middle of nowhere's land. I want to see a beach and people are wearing shorts. You know what I'm saying?
Well, imagine it's true. You're on you're a player. You don't even want to leave the hotel. You're like, man, it's too cold.
You're like,
you know what I mean? Like
you're
rattled by it, you know?
We're going to It's cold.
This Oregon team, we go back beginning of the year, they beat A&M, they beat Alabama. Like they had a nice little, run on like the neutrals back in those little tournament time. They can play. It's weird they've just hit the kind of wall. Like I said, though, is it just the travel? I mean, 5 in a row is all on the road.
Well, we saw those ACC. We saw in football teams had a hard time even beating Stanford and Cal and stuff, right? Even though they weren't great.
Slow play, drum beat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scoverin, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I got to like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? You're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's is offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night, but it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Memphis are going on a big run right now. 58-39. They're starting to pull away from the Phoenix Suns. Five minutes left in the first half of play. We were just talking about the college basketball games covered up right now. Take a couple of more minutes with Higgs. Then we got Rick Saratella stepping up and in. We got our boy Mo Khan later on. So Higgs is down with the underdog. Cam's down with the underdog at Northwestern. I like the over of the Northwestern in the Duck game, tipping off in about 6 minutes. Santa Clara, St. Mary's. St. Mary's laying 11.5, total 136.5. The Aztecs lay 9.5 on the road against the Spartans. And in fact, I'm getting a flashback right now of San Jose State and San Diego State playing. If you guys recall, it was about 3 weeks ago. And Sparty were up big. And I remember I took San Diego State on the money line to come back, and they actually did. What was the final score of that game?
It was like 71-70 or something.
I tell you what, this is one, guys, that point spread's too high here. Like I said,
Yes.
San Jose State played with these guys last time. And like I said, they took them to the freaking wire. San Diego State, it was like a desperation comeback. And they won 71-68. They were trailing most of the basketball game. And I know people have been in football mode, guys, but this San Jose State Spartan team, guys, 12-13 straight up, 17-5-1 against the spread this year.
Yeah.
Then you got San Diego State only 8-12 against the spread. San Diego State just, they lay too many points because they're always the class of the conference, Sean. But too many points in this game. This is a live dog cam. San Jose State Spartans plus the points. What do you think, Higgs?
Yeah. And they're 17-5. They started 0-3 ATS. So, I mean,
they're on a 17-2 run. Their last 19.
Incredible.
That's not bad. And you give me a home dog, I'll take it. I mean, come on, you're getting almost double digits. A team that just finds a way to hang around, whether they're getting 5 or giving 3 or getting 10, they're always right there. Well, what's there to say?
They're also 14-8 to the over
You just
on
got
the
to take
season
it on
too.
principle tonight. You take a home dog who's 17-2 ATS the last 19. What's there to think about? Take it.
So guys, what do we think of Santa Clara St. Mary's? 12.5 total, 137 in this one. Is St. Mary's going to run them out of the gym? What do you think?
I like Clara. You know I'm going to go right to the dog.
No.
I'm going right to the
No,
dog.
I don't think. I think the number's too high here as well. They're not exactly evenly matched team, but it's almost like when St. Mary's plays Gonzaga, they're fired up. Santa Clara fired up to beat St. Mary's. You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
This is that's their big brother, right? They're close to each other and stuff. I've been there. This is their, everyone, St. Mary's and Gonzaga all the time. This is Santa Clara's chance to go in there and give them all they can handle. Historically, they have played pretty close basketball games. Here's another total, 137.5. I think it's kind of a pretty accurate number, but I don't want to be generic here, but it sounds like another live dog that can hang around in this game. You're getting an even 12 points right now, too. And it's not a road trip game. You know what I mean? It's get on the bus and go down the beach trip. You know what I'm saying?
It's the Mary's defense, though, could be scary. That's the problem. Like, you see them come in and just give up 50 points, and you're like,
They can clamp down for 6-7 minutes at a time, I know. Get to 10 here, all right? And let's go over.
It's like most.
That's the best. Yeah. No, what we do? So what are we doing tonight? All overs, all dogs?
Straights.
Is that the way we're doing? Is that is this the rest?
Santa Clara plus 12, San Jose State plus 10. And we're going with the over the Northwestern game. Northwestern and the Oregon Ducks. 3 picks for me.
What about the Utah State game, guys? Was that the last
I'm not
game on
betting
the
that
board?
one.
No, you're leaving that one alone. What do you think, Higgs?
Utah State. I mean, I sort of like the Aggies a little bit. Colorado State's not a good team. This might be a home one. This might be where you get your big home blowout here.
There's always one game best there's always one game best to be left alone. I don't need to bet. This is the one. I always just skip one of them.
I'm actually surprised, Gabe. You bet the board some nights. I'm like, for you laying off, you must not have no opinion of this game whatsoever. That's kind of shocking, to be honest with you.
I don't. But I had opinions on the other one. I'm not going to force it. I got 3 bets starting at 11 o'clock Eastern.
Fair enough.
We're good.
Peer pressure. Take the favorite. Take the home team.
I'm not giving take Utah State 6.5 Higgs.
Yeah.
I would put it this way: if I had to, I wouldn't take Colorado State. They're back.
Honestly, it looks a little low, 6.5 for a team 21-3.
slow play drum beat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Just Govern, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I gotta like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's is offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. It's been too long since we've caught up with our main man, Rick Saratella. We were live on Media Row last Tuesday. The week before, Rick Saratella was live in Alabama breaking it down for the Senior Bowl. Rick Saratella in the house, allaccessfootball.com, the founder of the NFL Draft Bible. Rick, it's always a pleasure, my man. Good to catch up with you.
Yes, sir. We see you out there, big dog Gabriel Morency on Radio Row holding it down. Buckle up.
Yeah, we were hustling hard, man. I'm ready for the 2028 Olympics. Speed walking through the convention centers and through the French Quarter. But you know what it's like on the grind, pounding the pavement, and people were asking about you. We saw your boy Baldy down there, and Baldy was riding the Eagles wave all year long. I know he really believed in this football team. We ran into Howard Balzer as well, and people were like, "Hey, where's your boy Saratella at?" I said, Saratella doesn't come to this game. He goes to the Shrine Bowls and the Hula Bowls and the Senior Bowls of the world. He doesn't go to the Super Bowls. Super Bowls are for the phonies, the big time. The fakesters that show up once a year. You're pounding the pavement for real.
You know, I mean, the reality is, other than you, Gabe, most people don't really want to talk to me until after the Super Bowl is over. Then I'm suddenly a commodity. But here on the Sports Rage, we talk NFL draft year round. That's what I love about you.
So you know a lot about the Philadelphia Eagles. You're on the Jersey Shore. You've covered the team. You've done shows out of Atlantic City. So you know a lot about this football team. What did you think to see it come all together like this and pretty much play a perfect football game? I mean, forget about the fourth quarter and stuff like that. I mean, that was like as big of a beat down and a one-sided dominant performance in a Super Bowl, bro. Like it was reminiscent of the old school San Francisco versus Denver days and, Dallas versus Buffalo. They just absolutely smoked them.
Yeah, I would say it was as impressive as, it's right up there with the Tampa Bay Bucks rocking the Raiders with the Gruden revenge game. Baltimore put a pretty good beat down on the Giants, that Kerry Collins Giants team. But, Kansas City had some backdoor points, so the final score didn't look as great as the game was a complete domination. And I think what you're starting to see is a shifting of the guard here. I don't think Travis Kelce has much gas left in the tank. I think it's time for him to hang up the cleats. And, you saw the lack of dynamic playmakers like Tyreek Hill left. They pieced it, patched it together. But I think the Chiefs are going to take a step back here. They'll always have a shot with Mahomes. But now the Eagles are the new kids on the block, so to speak. 3 Super Bowls in the last 7 years. You can state a case they should have won the previous Super Bowl against that Kansas City Chiefs team. And suddenly now you have a potential Hall of Fame general manager in Howie Roseman. He has done that great of a job. And I'm glad to see my paisan Nick Sirianni get his flowers, because for all the negatives and for all his emotional outbursts, I think he fits the city of Philadelphia and the passion perfectly. And I mean, this guy just is really, I think, ahead of the class in terms of forward thinking. Like, you saw his first head coaching job. He brought in Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen within a year or two. Both of those guys were head coaches. And then I give him credit. Like, he got it wrong last year. He hired 2 bozos and he cut his losses after 1 year. He brought in and he got it right. And Vic Fangio, that guy, he was 0-8 against Mahomes coming into the Super Bowl, but this is by far the best defense he's ever had in his career. And again, it's just offense, defense, even special teams. Cooper DeJean, like, how do guys like Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell slide that far in the first round? Howie, in the draft, he finds his way, moving up, moving down. He identifies talent. He goes out and gets it.
Without a doubt, and awesome. And I was going to say the best general manager, executive personnel, president, etc. in the league. I know there's other good ones, but if you're the Philadelphia Eagles too, Rick, how much more do they have in them? And you look at the leaders on the football team. Jalen Hurts, not the type of person to be spoiled by success, right? He's very evenly keeled to begin with. We're not talking about a kid that's going to go get lit up in Vegas for the next 3 weeks right now. Saquon Barkley, very driven by success. And I saw Saquon in the interview with Strahan, and Strahan said, what's a fault that you have that we don't know about? And he goes, to be honest with you, he goes, I don't enjoy things in the moment. He goes, maybe one day I'll look back on all this and I'll appreciate what I've done. But he goes, I don't really enjoy things. And he talked about, like, his girl, like, people tell him, you got to, like, soak things up a little bit more. I think it'll continue. You know what I mean? Like, Saquon won't be like, oh, I won a Super Bowl, I'm fine. And then you got all those nut job kids from the SEC on the defensive side of the football. They're not going anywhere. This is a scary football team again next year, Rick. I mean, like, would you be surprised if they're back in the Super Bowl next year again?
No, because they have a lot of guys under contract. They don't really have a lot in free agency, like Mekhi Becton, the defensive tackle.
Yeah, just some of the loose parts. Zach Bond, you're going to have to deal with Zach. People are going to want to pay him, but you can handle that and get him under deal. You can get him under a contract.
Yeah, and I do think, like, I saw a clip of Mekhi Becton and a quote, like, him just crying on the field and talking about Philadelphia embraced me, the way they welcomed me here. He said, you thought I spent my whole career here. So I think there will be some cases like that where players will take a hometown discount. We've seen Brandon Graham do that in the past. I thought he provided an emotional boost on Super Bowl game day. But when you talk about, like, teams like the Cincinnati Bengals and they have trouble paying Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, or teams like the New York Giants, they can't figure out how to pay Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. You look at the Eagles, they pay Hurts, they pay Barkley, they got A.J. Brown under contract.
6 guys, Rick, making $20 million or more on the team per year.
Yeah. I mean, and so, that's, again, Howie's background initially as a salary cap guy. Remember when they brought in Chip Kelly, they threw him in the basement, they locked the door and threw the key away. He got humbled and he learned. And then he came back and he really has just outworked and outmaneuvered. In fact, we're doing a scouting seminar tonight for All Access Football with Brian Baldinger, and we're going to go back and break down the players that the Eagles drafted in the Senior Bowl. They just outshrewded everybody by moving up, moving down, and plucking these guys, and nobody else was on them. And you talk about the Georgia guys, the SEC. I mean, The last 3 drafts, I think.
Look, they got
15
Carter
starters.
late in the draft because people remember he was out of shape, he was out of breath,
Yeah.
and he had the car accident. And then boom, suddenly they get him with the 40th or 42nd pick or whatever it was.
Yeah, and I think like the last 5 drafts or something have produced 15 starters, which is just insane.
As far as Jalen Hurts is concerned, he was someone that was heavily criticized. Same with Sirianni, heavily criticized. You know, he didn't win the game for them, but he was the driving force. I mean, obviously the defense was dominant, but Jalen stepped up, and we're talking about a kid too. You know what I mean? It was benched in a national championship game. It comes full circle for him. There's worse people that have won Super Bowls than this guy before. It's nice to see good guys finish first sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny. Our friend Jim Nagy played a clip from when Hurts was down in Mobile and talking about, somebody asked him, well, are you a quarterback? Are you a wide receiver? He's like, I think I'm a quarterback, I'm going to give it my best shot. And then here we are. And, he did throw the interception. Now, that was his first one since before Thanksgiving. Other than that, I mean, he played a flawless game. The Eagles' offensive line was the best in the league.
Didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts, so they feel as ready as possible.
Making references to it on the broadcast.
There's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations. Always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scavron when those two started working together. How their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I got to like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself in a clip that we just played said basically the stats are not backing up the team's win.
The Twisted Tuesday. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The Pistol Players, the Hustlers, the Rick Saratellas, the people of Bustum, and everybody else in between in the house with us right now. Sirius XM Channel 159, SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks. Rick, you talked about the Kansas City Chiefs, and they've done an awesome job as well with their, with plugging players in and just sort of replacing guys on a yearly basis, but it always eventually catches up to them. And the offensive line issues were once again a problem like they were a couple of years in the Super Bowl when Tom Brady beat them in the Super Bowl. But the Kansas City Chiefs open up as co-favorites to win the Super Bowl next year, Rick, at plus 650, along with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Buffalo Bills are right there at 7-1. And I don't know if it's wishful thinking or naiveness on my behalf, but I'm thinking, you know what? This is it next year for the Bills. Josh Allen, Super Bowl, San Francisco. It's his hometown, outside of the area, obviously, but as close of a hometown football game as he's going to get. What do you think about these early numbers right now? Ravens 7-1, Bills 7-1, Lions 9-1, the 49ers 11-1, the Commanders 20-1 right now. Who's this team that's ready to take the next step next year, in your opinion, Rick?
Well, I've already sprinkled a little something on the Commanders. I like their odds, and I think they're ready to take the next step. In fact, I mean, I thought they almost made it there. I thought the experience of the Eagles showed there. But, listen, one last thing about the Chiefs, they're done, okay? Listen, Kelsey's done. Chris Jones. No, listen, you saw Chris Jones. He's getting his neck work done. His leg is hurt. Yeah. He just turned it on in the postseason. He didn't really do a lot down the stretch in the regular season. This is an old team. I like the Texans in the AFC. I like the Ravens in the AFC. But you're right, Josh Allen. It's boom or bust with the Buffalo Bills next year. If they don't get it done, I'm not sure they're ever going to do it because they've won the division now, I think, the last 5 years. They got no trophies on the mantle to show for it. I thought they were coming into their own, but I think the defense really just needs to catch up. And, they don't really have the juice.
They don't have a pass rush. Let's call it out for what it is. Yeah. They have a bunch of guys that are sort of okay. And speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, and just making smart moves. Okay, the Chiefs didn't win, but it was still a ridiculously stupid thing of the Buffalo Bills to get them Xavier Worthy. Even the Bills didn't want Xavier Worthy. It was stupid of them to allow the Kansas City Chiefs to get him. And then we were just talking about Roseman and the aggression. We saw with the LA Rams when they won the Super Bowl. You see it, Rick. Teams that want to win and make it work can make it work. They don't have excuses about the salary cap. Or they don't have excuses, well, we already have a player at that position. No, let's get another player at that position. I don't know. I don't think the Cleveland Browns would want to deal Myles Garrett to the Buffalo Bills, but to me, the Bills need a bona fide pass rusher. They need someone to terrorize. They need a star player on defense. We know they can put points on offense. We know Josh Allen can score, right? They got to stop somebody, Rick, when it matters. They got to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, well, hey, just spinballing. I mean, if I'm Buffalo and I have a chance to acquire Myles Garrett, I mean, I'd be willing to give up this year's first round and next year's first round.
You go all in on this.
Yeah, he's a game changer. That's an impact player.
Yeah, you go all in on this. All right, so speaking of game changers, the NFL draft, of course, will now be the next subject of conversation. And there's going to be a lot of smoke around this draft, guys. Just like the last couple of years, these drafts are getting pretty wild. There's no real consensus, number one picks. Now Tennessee, of course, throws it out there that, we're open to listening to offers as well. They're not, locked in specifically on anybody. Cameron Ward right now is the favorite at minus 115. Abdul Carter is the second choice at plus 200 right now. Travis Hunter is plus 400 to be the top pick. Shedeur Sanders is plus 450, and then there's a massive drop-off to Jackson Dart at 40-1. It's pretty wild, Rick. You got four names, and then there's a drop-off to 40-1. So Cam Ward, minus 115, Abdul Carter, plus 200, Travis Hunter, plus 400, Shedeur Sanders, plus 450. What do you think about the number one overall pick talk right now?
Well, I think Tennessee is eventually going to trade out of that pick, and I think they want to stay inside the top 5 here. And the Giants at 3, I think, are the ideal candidate. I mean, listen, I was in Dallas at the East-West Shrine Bowl and saw Brian Daboll and Joe Shane and the Giants brass wooing Shedeur Sanders up and down downtown Dallas. The Giants are all in on Shedeur Sanders. Are they going to pull the trigger and ensure that they get him at number 1 and move up? They might just be that desperate at quarterback to do that. I say Tennessee wants to stay in the top 5 because you got two quarterbacks most likely going up top. I think there's three like blue chip prospects, and you saw them there on the odds: Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and Mason Graham. Like, if you can still hold on to one of those guys and trade back and acquire additional picks, that's the blueprint for success for the Tennessee Titans. Now, that's easier said than done. And you look 6 and 7 as the Raiders and the Jets, two teams that need quarterbacks. But if Tennessee is to slide that far down, then they risk losing out on one of those cornerstone type of prospects.
Is Abdul Carter worthy of a number one pick in the NFL draft from a talent perspective? Do you like him? I saw David Pollack saying that if he had the number one pick, he would take Abdul Carter. What do you think about Carter?
I've come around on him. I had some concerns about the lack of height and length, but I think he's going to measure okay. And honestly, the get off and the flexibility, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Von Miller. Like, he could be a 43, he could be a 34. But yeah, I mean, he's got that quick get off, that first step and speed to power conversion. I do believe in this year's draft, he could be the number one overall pick. I like Travis Hunter myself, but I could see the logic behind Abdul Carter.
If you're Travis Hunter and you end up on, if you're the Tennessee Titans and you like him, then you still have Will Levis as your quarterback, though, right? Moving forward.
Well, they brought in Chad Brinkner, who has roots to the Green Bay Packers there in that front office. And so now with the Rodgers talk of him being released by the Jets.
Interesting.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Rodgers lands in Tennessee, who I think.
Well, if I was Tennessee, you're right. I was going to say, I've heard Rodgers in Tennessee before. If you're Tennessee, if you came out of this with Travis Hunter and a new quarterback like that, you wouldn't be in bad shape. We'll wrap up with on the other side. Right?
Slow play, drum beat grows louder and louder every week, to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scoverin, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I got to like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night, but it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we got a couple more minutes with our main man, Rick Saratella, here, and you didn't think we could talk football for a half hour with Rick without bringing up Aaron Rodgers, right? But all kidding aside, we're one of the few shows that doesn't talk about Aaron Rodgers on a daily basis. And I wasn't a big fan of everything that happened with the New York Jets. I kind of expected things to work out the way that it did. the Devontae Adams stuff was just comical that they gave up a third-round pick for him. So it really just was a complete disaster. But with all that being stated, he was coming off of surgery. He can still throw the football. I think he's been humbled right now as well. He was calling the shots 2 years ago when he went to MetLife Stadium. He's not calling the shots anymore, and he knows it. And he knows if I want to play in the NFL, I'm going to have to be more of a yes, sir, no, sir, and sort of find a fit. And there's talk about Kirk Cousins. I understand, Rick. What are you hearing about the New York Jets? Like, hell, I even heard, like, Derek Carr, like, name came up. And I'm thinking, so after all this, you're going to throw Rodgers under the bus to bring in Kirk Cousins? Like, really? So what are you hearing about Aaron Rodgers? And you just sort of said, what about Tennessee for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I mean, it does appear, I think Schefter had the report, like, they're parting ways with Rodgers. It's over. And so,
yeah.
But it's fascinating to think that we're going to cup Rodgers for Kirk Cousins. I mean, like, are you kidding me?
I'll put my hand up in a minute. I'd rather Aaron Rodgers on the football team than Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and, they're saying, well, hey, Cousins will only cost $30 million or $27 million, but you got Rodgers. He's only on the books for $23 million this year. So I don't get that kind. I think the logic is, hey, Cousins is that hold the fort gap quarterback. If we draft a youngster, he'll be okay in that role. But I thought Rodgers kind of embraced that role last year when he was hurt with Zach Wilson. So I don't know, man. I thought it was I think it's going to be a bad move. It's not official yet.
Sam Darnold, from what I understand, is there's quite a hot market for him, even though the season ended the way that it did with the last two games of the year. He's still going to get a pretty big contract, isn't he? And there's teams that are interested in him.
Supply and demand, Gabe. I mean, this guy's going to command $35 million. And, what's your other choices? Jameis Winston?
I'm hearing Raider talk for Sam Darnold.
Well, Brady's a Cali guy. Darnold's a Cali guy. I wouldn't rule it out. They need an upgrade.
Another stopgap, right? If you're not going to get it, you know what I mean? Just sort of a stopgap. You're not giving them a 5-year deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, but is there anything really in this free agent market that isn't a stopgap? Like, you got Russell Wilson. I mean, I still believe in Justin Fields. I think.
What are you hearing about Fields? Does anybody like this kid? No, huh? No one likes him. No one likes him.
I'd rather pay Justin Fields than Sam Darnold.
Hell, if you're the New York Jets, like, forget about Rodgers and Cousins, and you're Aaron Glenn, when you say, listen, let's just give this Fields kid a shot. Let him be the damn quarterback. We got talent around him. Like, seriously. He was winning with He was winning with Pittsburgh. Well, they were 4-2, 5-2 when they benched him.
Well, how about Fields? You get him with a guy like Kellen Moore down in New Orleans, and let's start this thing over, baby.
Oh, I like where you're going with that, actually. We'll wrap it up with this because Kellen Moore kind of flew under the radar. Kellen Moore reminded me, he wasn't a Valvano moment, but Kellen Moore was looking for someone to hug and celebrate after, and everyone was just walking past him on the field. He's like, sort of like special teams guys sort of patted him on the shoulder. Sirianni's mother gave him a hug.
Don't worry, you'll get a ring.
Yeah, he was sort of like, I don't know, it was almost like they were like, dude, dog, we know you're gone. You're the coach of the Saints, bro. See you later. It was almost like they left him there on the field after. So good for Kellen Moore. He gets a head coaching job. Bad news for Kellen Moore is, dear God, this Saints roster is a freaking mess, bro.
Yeah, first agenda is probably going to be to have to call Cam Jordan and cut him because they just can't afford him. He's an aging veteran they're going to have to part ways with. They got to get a year. That cap is going to take at least a year, maybe 2 to get right. And so the Saints are kind of in purgatory.
Do you think anybody will want Carr? Speaking of veteran quarterbacks, like one of the New York teams, or will someone want Carr? Because he's least desirable to me than even these other guys you're talking about.
If somebody's going to take him, I mean, if we're talking about somebody wants Kirk Cousins as a starting quarterback, well, then somebody's going to want Carr. And it's, again, there's so many teams that need a quarterback. There's just not enough of these guys to go around, and it's a weak draft class. So I think Carr's going to start next year for somebody. And you got guys like Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson. These guys are always hurt. Deshaun Watson, like.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even get into the Cleveland quarterback situation, too. I
think it's going to be Cam Ward. Cam Ward. Yeah.
And Cleveland said they're not scared. They wouldn't be scared of drafting Shador. They're not worried about him not wanting to play. Easier said now. Rick Saratella, bring it.
Slow play, drum beat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scavron, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or a plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I gotta like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's is offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. Thanks to Rick Saratella for joining us on the program. Post-Super Bowl NFL draft, a lot of football stuff to get to. And in fact, I've got some interesting odds up right now. We've got Mo Khan's take on it. The Ducks right now lead Northwestern. It's 19-14. They played about 9 minutes in this game, 9.5 minutes, 19-16 right now. We like the over this game, 142.5, 143. It's 145.5 in game right now. St. Mary's are up 18-12 on Santa Clara, 10 minutes into the game. They're laying 15.5 points right now, despite the fact they're only up by 6. Total is 133.5. Utah State are drilling Colorado State. That's the one game we passed on, and we said it would be the favorite or nothing. Favorite is up by 19 early right now. We did jump in on San Jose State plus the points. They're winning 19-13. They were getting 9.5. Same thing, 10 minutes into the game. And UNLV are up a 20 spot on Air Force with 5 minutes left. They're currently laying 21.5. They're up 65-44 right now. They just scored a point. And Memphis starting to pull away on Phoenix once again, 77-59. All right, you're up to date with the action. Let's send it to Montreal right now, where the Four Nations getting ready to drop the puck, and there's a snowstorm in Montreal, so it's fitting. It's hockey weather. Hockey weather for the hockey world in Montreal. Mo, now that the tournament is here, what's the excitement level or buzz factor? You told us a couple of weeks ago there was none. What about now that we're less than 24 hours away from dropping a puck?
There's still tickets to be had at the Bell Center for the opening game, and we're expecting about 20 to 35 centimeters of snow, I think, by tomorrow evening at puck drop. So that might deter fans from going to the game because of the fact that getting to the Bell Center and leaving the arena is a headache in its own right. So hopefully they do get it sell out, but I think the real litmus test will be the non-Canada games in the Montreal portion of this tournament and how well they do for those tickets. And apparently right now, those sales have been much slower compared to the Canada games. So it'll be fascinating to see how this plays out, guys. If this is going to be a true test, that this be a forever, every 4-year tournament, who knows? But for the NHL, it's an NHL-based tournament. And Gabe, you made that great a tweet earlier tonight. Who has a 3-on-3 overtime format in this type of a tournament, right? If it's all those nations involved here. So it'll be fascinating to see how this plays out today and then move towards Boston next week.
What's your prediction for the tournament, Mo? Who do you think is going to win?
I think, Canada's goaltending is my biggest concern going into this tournament and what they will do with that. Look, you look at the power play, it's a bunch of all-stars, right? It's a bunch of alpha males on that power play line. Top two lines are comfortable. I just think the bottom three or the bottom two lines are a little bit questionable in terms of the depth and quality that they have here. But I think Canada should be in the finals. I think USA will be in the finals. I think those are the two best teams right now going to this tournament. But the Finns, guys, always, have been an issue for many of these teams, was the senior level or at the junior level now of late. So I'm watching out for what Finland does in the next couple of days in the opening round of this tournament.
That's my prediction, Mo. Canada versus Finland in the final. I'm expecting Finland to pull the carpet out from under people and surprise them. They're going to win 2-1. They'll win in overtime or something against somebody. What's crazy, too, and you just said it, Mo, obviously, listen, you're in Montreal. It's Finland, Sweden. It's not the Olympics, so it's not like a ton of people are coming from Finland and Sweden for this, but that would be an epic game to go to. That's that's a legit rivalry. They don't like each other for real, these two teams. It really is, arguably, I know USA, Canada, and our world have become the thing. It used to be Canada and Russia, but Finland and Sweden, man, they really do not like each other. It really matters to both of them when they play each other. And like you said, Mo, Finland just made the World Junior Championship finals. They won the World Championships a couple of years ago with the same coach they have coaching this team with Lankinen between the pipes then. They've won bronze. They've won silver in the World Juniors. They play as sort of like a soccer team. The coach that they have coaches, he coached the men's team in the World Championships before. He's coached the World Junior team. They all know the system inside out, right? They're not just coming together. Finland really do have a system put in place.
They really do. And the thing is, the ticket price is $180 for nosebleeds. And that's the biggest downfall because I would go to the game as a fan if the tickets weren't so expensive.
That's just
stupid. That's just dumb.
I tweeted about that too before, in which people can blame the NHL stuff, but the NHLPA, they set the price, and they basically, you could tell what they did. They were like, well, let's make it so we don't, we'll make the fans pay for everything. We don't want to, pay for this. Yeah, like you said, Mo, and I posted, tickets should have been $75, $150, and $250. Not this, it's $200 for the upper deck, and it's, $600-700 for the lower bowl and stuff. It's an exhibition. Let's call it off what it is. They're good players, but it's an exhibition, and they're asking just too much. Greed got the best of them. They didn't think it through.
No, they didn't. And now we move towards this event. And remember, Canada, when Montreal hosted the World Cup in '96, didn't sell out those tickets. Remember, Don Cherry called them out, saying where's Canadian pride for the games that were in Montreal up until USA-Canada final. And then you look at the World Junior Tournament, 6-7 years ago when Montreal and Toronto were co-hosts, the Montreal portion of games were poorly attended, even for the gold medal.
Well, let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
Because I brought this up earlier off the top of the show. I said putting it in Montreal was not the best city to do this. Let's just be real. If this was in Toronto, people would eat it up more and they would go. But from what I understand, it was an arena conflict. So I don't know who's playing in Toronto recently, but I don't think Montreal was at, because the NHL, Toronto's their unofficial headquarters. So they, Toronto would have made more sense. But from what I heard was they couldn't lock it down for the as much as they needed, the rink and the access. For whatever reason. So like I said, I don't know who's playing in Toronto. Vancouver would have been too far. They wanted it on the East Coast, quick, back and forth to Boston. But I can tell you, I got a post from someone in Boston that said there's not a ton of hype in Boston about this right now either.
No, and that's the thing now, right? It's going to be one of those things. How does it do well? And for Montreal as a host for Canada games, it's been questionable. And for international games, it's been questionable. So for this province, for this city, if you want to say you're a hockey market, not just a Habs town, you got to show up, whether it's 35 centimeters of snow tomorrow night or it's going to be minus 20 on Friday. Be there to support, what should be good hockey.
Montreal, Montreal, this is crazy as it sounds, though. Montreal is not a hockey town. Montreal is a Montreal Canadiens town.
Well, that
There's
was
a
going to be my
difference.
question to you guys then. I'm going to say there's 3 Canadians there. 2 of the 3 play for Finland. Laine and Armia. They're Montreal Canadiens, and San Montembeau is Canada's goaltender. Like, is there hardcore enough fans to go, hey, there's a couple Canadians there, or is that just kind of whatever?
No. If
It doesn't
Carey
move the
Price-
needle?
No, if Carey Price was the starting goalie for Team Canada, there'll be a full sellout for Team Canada games because he's a brand name for this franchise when he was playing for this team 4 or 5 years ago. And now today, Montembeau's cute to be there. Armia is fun to be there. Laine is fun to be there. But reality is there really isn't a star power name on this Habs roster that says I'm going to pay $500 to go watch them play some exhibition game against Sweden on Thursday night.
No, but I bet you the crowd is pulling for Finland more than Sweden, though, just because of it. Not to mention Saku Koivu's big Canadian legend and stuff. I think they will. Like Mo said, they're not enough to sell tickets, but the people that are actually there, people that are actually there will be. I think they'll be pulling for Finland a little bit. And I don't know, maybe you'll have a bunch of bettors too that like that plus 850 like I do with the Finns. So what's your prediction? We got a break coming up, Mo. What's your prediction tomorrow night? Are you going to the game tomorrow night? Do you have a press pass or anything like that?
I'll be taking some 48 events towards in the week, but tomorrow I won't be going because of the snowstorm. It's going to be a hell to get to the Bell Center.
Man, you're soft. Snowstorm.
I am soft, Gabe. I am soft. But give me Canada to win tomorrow night.
You live in Montreal. It snows. It's like once I ordered a pizza from Domino's and it was like an hour later, it never showed up. And she told me, she goes, "Sir, it's raining really hard." I said, it rains every day in Vancouver. Like, if you have an excuse that it's raining, that's why you're delayed. It's really raining. It's always raining.
Slow play, drum beat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scavern, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I got to like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's is offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency, the pits, the players, the hustlers, the people, the bust them, and everybody else in between. All right, let's go to the best of X here. So we were on Bourbon Street for like a week plus, 8 days, whatever it was, a full week. We were right there in the middle of it all, too, in the heart of it, right on Canal and Bourbon Street. And like I said, you'll never see a Super Bowl like this where everything was so condensed together. Like, I'm telling you, Mo, like, I've been to a lot of Super Bowls before. Normally the teams, man, are staying, like, you know what I mean, at a golf resort out of town. And, you know, they literally like World Cup teams do, guys, when they take over golf resorts, so they rent the whole hotel out. This year, the players were staying, like, with all the psychos, like, off of Bourbon Street and stuff. Like, the hotels were, like, right downtown, and everything was within, like, a 6-block radius, man. The casino was a big hub of places. Caesar's Palace opened up a new casino there. They put $430 million into it. And everybody, all the players, the families, that was sort of the hub where everybody got drunk and gambled all the time. But the players were wandering around, and like I said, I'm a big fan of Kenny Pickett now. Well, his boys were going to the big-time restaurants. Kenny Pickett was eating at Raising Cane's during the week by himself. No friends on the team, just by himself in an Eagles T-shirt.
That's so awesome.
Eagle T-shirt and chicken tenders. That's Super Bowl weekend, Kenny Pickett. Literally, oh, man, I went out with this celebrity. What'd you do, Kenny? I took the last snap of the Super Bowl. I took a knee for us. I won. Exactly. And I ate at Raising Cane's like all week.
I'm Kenny Pickett for Raising Cane's like at Zaxby's. That's amazing, man.
Just by himself, too. That's the best. Like walking around by himself, just like looking like a kid on the street there. So, yeah, a lot of fun. But this is a crazy video that's making its rounds right now. And this is John Rocker, the former baseball player, and Patrick Mahomes Sr. cross paths on Bourbon Street after the football game on Sunday night. Let's roll. Now, there's some profanity in the video. So the guy in the red hood there is Patrick Mahomes Sr. There's John Rocker. They both played Major League Baseball at the same time. Rocker comes over, tries to shake his hand. Mahomes pushes him away. And Rocker says to him, "You're so drunk, bro, you can barely talk and stand." Mahomes tells him basically, "Hey, go F yourself." They're going back and forth here. And you look at Rocker, he's sort of, leaning in, leaning into him. Rocker throws the drink at the end at him. He throws the drink.
Rocker would kill that guy. Like, I don't know. I'm taking Rocker in this fight, man. Mahomes Sr., you would have messed with John Rocker? That guy will knock your face off. Big time.
Rocker looks yoked up right now. He looks really muscular.
Yeah. I would have stayed away from John Rocker on Bourbon Street. I would have crossed the street. Like, exactly. But Mahomes' father doesn't really care. But yeah. So there's, like I said, check out what the audio on the street too. People didn't know who they were, right? So like it's just sort of like people arguing on Bourbon Street, and then somebody goes, someone goes, "That's John Rocker," and then people kind of clue in, and it's Mahomes Sr. and it's John Rocker. But the best shot was these two girls that were watching. They were just minding their own business, having a drink, and they're across the street. These are like the only two. Too bad you couldn't blow it up too. You could see their eyes. Like everybody sort of didn't really stop except these two, and they're just like soaking it all in on Bourbon Street. But I gotta tell you, like New Orleans has a reputation and this and that, and I understand. Like there were a ton of law enforcement officers everywhere, right? Once I came out of my hotel in the morning, it freaked the hell out of me. There was like tanks outside our hotel. And there was literally like fight, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, dude. Like half the Air Force seemed to be there, whatever. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And they're like, the governor and the mayor and the new attorney general are speaking in the lobby of the hotel. It wasn't ideal for me, Cam, to step outside and, you know what I mean, and blaze on it. I'm walking out. I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm like, dear God, like, this is, like, I started walking a few blocks away and there was more of them. And I'm like, then someone told me, Trump's on his way next. And I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be great. Like, there's helicopters over me. I'm looking up. I'm walking, like, you have to walk like 8 blocks away. Like, like every 10 minutes, it was like, Goodell speaking outside now. And it's like, oh, God, there's more of them, right? If I never see another Louisiana State trooper the rest of my life, I'm going to be fine. Nice guys, but You know the episode of The Simpsons, Cam, where like they go to Florida and Homer's like gets wasted all week at spring break.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
he kills an alligator by accident. And,
Did he go to prison?
They took the alligator.
Yeah, but they put him in jail. And he
Yeah.
goes, I thought you guys were all cool with everything. They're like, yeah, we were. Spring break's over. Now you're under arrest. That's the feeling I got with New Orleans. It was like, yeah, like seems like everything goes right now, but I'm sure it's not always this like sort of like party friendly.
The Mardi Gras over.
That kills an alligator, and they take the alligator's side. It's like, what's going on here? That was the best.
Yeah, Mardi Gras is coming up there, but no, I'm definitely going to go back. I want to go back to. I want to go to a Saint game. Go to a Saints like when the Bills play there. I don't know. The Bills got to go there eventually. It's been a few years since they've been in that neck of the woods. But, yeah, I would go back. I did enjoy it. The only thing, it's not easy to get in and out of there. I couldn't get a direct flight. All right, so I got odds here. We talked about this with Rick Saratella a bit. Aaron Rodgers and where Aaron Rodgers is going to end up next year. And I like where Rick Saratella was going with this. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the favorites for Aaron Rodgers right now. For the record, their safety came out tonight and went online and said, put his ass in a retirement home. We don't want him. So that's like, this is what it's come to right now. So Steelers are plus 120. I'm not buying it. The 49ers are plus 350. The Saints are plus 550. The Vikings are 7-1. Mo's Las Vegas Raiders plus 750, which I do think is intriguing. You say no. The Giants are 12-1. Browns are 10-1. Seahawks are 12-1. And this is the team right here with great odds. Cam's Tennessee Titans. You bet on them every week last year with Will Levis. Aaron Rodgers, Tennessee Titans. For new executives, the Green Bay guy that he gets along with. Just saying. We'll hit on the other side.
Slow play, drum beat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scaver and when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can't take Boston at minus 110. I don't see the value in it, right? You're getting minus money. If Boston were to turn around and become even money or plus 105 or plus 110, yeah, I can understand you want to take that. So because of the value at 5.5 to 1, I got to like the Knicks and their chances of coming out of the East.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's is offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night, but it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
So as we were saying, I'm Gabriel Morency. A couple of minutes left in the program. Great to be back in the seat after the live shows or the media row stuff last week. The Tennessee Titans at 14-1. They had the first pick of the draft. I don't know if they're in love with Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. I don't know what they're thinking. No one knows what they're thinking. They're doing a very good job, actually, the Titans so far, of just sort of leaking a lot of different things, right? That there's been the Titans love Cam Ward, they love Shedeur Sanders, they're willing to trade the pick. Travis Hunter's a generational talent. Abdul Carter's great. Like, they're all over the place, which is what you want to do, and keep the the air of confusion in the air. The Giants can't screw this up, especially after giving up Barkley, Mo. Right? Yeah. They want Shedeur Sanders. Daboll is in love with him. Rick Saratella brought it up, and Rick said, Rick's in tune with the Giants. He said, Cam and Mo, that like at the Shrine Bowl, the Giants were all over him. Like, the Giants had representatives there. He didn't play Shedeur, but he went there, and there's no secret that Shedeur wants to be a Giant. I know he wants to be he'd be cool with a Raider, but he got those Giant cleats made, right? He was throwing the football with Malik Neighbors at the Heisman stuff. When he went there to support Travis Hunter. So, there's no secret there. What do you think about Aaron Rodgers, though, Mo? What team do you think he ends up on next year?
You said it before, Tennessee. I think, it fits his profile of the city that he likes to be in. It's in the South, a little bit more to his liking. And I think, as you mentioned before, the connection to the management, too, could be ideal for him to go there. And again, he needs to go to a team where there's going to be a strong running game and better supporting cast, right? If they get Travis Hunter with the first pick, you get yourself a dynamic playmaker on both sides of the football here. So I think Tennessee will be the team to watch out for. I don't think the Raiders will be at all involved in this whole conversation with Aaron Rodgers. His market is limited. So if he doesn't go to Tennessee, I think there's nothing else out there that is desirable for a team to go get him, especially if Matt Stafford is made available in the coming weeks.
Montreal Alouettes. For Aaron Rodgers.
You never know.
I made him an offer. He's, like you said, he's a freaky dude. Maybe tell him, listen, dude, you can do what you want up here. Like, you know what I mean? No one will say anything. There was a story that the Jets basically told him that, like, even if they're not sure if they wanted him back, but they said that you couldn't do the Pat McAfee show every week. They don't like those interviews.
Yeah.
Right, so that was part of it. He's not, it's over there. Like, he's not going to be there. But I'm just bringing that up that was out there. What do you think, Mo, for the Raiders then? Who's their quarterback going to be?
I think Stafford might be a play for the Raiders because Spytek's one of those guys. He said himself, he goes home runs, right? Whether it's bringing Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady, or name quarterback to the system in Tampa, they need someone to help immediately. I mean, if they're not going to get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward where their position, you stick at 6, take the best player available, trade to get someone. You have cap space to work with. And remember, they have 4 of the top 100 picks in this year's NFL draft. So they have ammo to make a move or two. So I think Stafford or Sam Darnold could be the other option that they look at as we move towards the NFL Combine in 2 weeks.
You don't think it'll be Russell Wilson, huh? Reuniting with Pete Carroll.
I just don't think I don't think he fits Chip Kelly's system. I don't think he fits the profile that he wants from Chip Kelly as a quarterback. And I just think right now for Russell Wilson, I know they're linking him with Pete Carroll, but remember, and Cam will know this very well, he burnt that bridge with Pete Carroll at the end of his time in Seattle until he made the amends at that party last year.
Yeah, they've made amends. What's in the past is in the past. Business is business. But the Raiders, listen, they're going to have to figure it out. There's a lot of stopgap options for them. And we were talking with Rick earlier. You got Justin Fields, too, that nobody really seems to be overly interested in right now. All right, so tomorrow you got Sweden and Canada playing, going head-to-head. The total is 6. I think Canada are going to survive a close one tomorrow. My prediction right now, I'll have more picks tomorrow. We'll attack this big time. But I'm going to go 3-2 final score. 3-2. Game goes under. Canada beats Sweden 3-2. I said earlier I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to overtime, tied at 2. I'm going to stick to that, actually. Thing is, it's not like it's a wild pick. It's only plus 375 to go to overtime. So, I mean, it's not like you're getting a massive, massive number. Cam, what's your prediction?
We're very similar. Like, I like Canada 4-2 in the game, 3-2 with an empty netter. Give me 4-2 Canada.
See, I don't mind that. Listen, I'm taking under 6. If I get the push, I get the push. Great stuff, Mo. We'll catch up next week. We'll start getting into some college basketball and more. So the 4 Nations Cup drops tomorrow. Memphis Grizzlies are up 10 right now. We got a close game, actually. Phoenix have been battling, at least hanging around a little bit. We'll catch you on a Wicked Wednesday. Other than that, you're on your own later.